What up, y'all? Dirty Harry back on the mic, back kicking off another great show, Studio 110.live, a Wednesday afternoon here in Bellevue, Washington, where home base is, Studio 110.live, where we broadcast from. It's another clear, nice day here. I feel like summer, I feel like spring is right around the corner. If it was up to me, I'd bypass spring and go right into summer in Seattle, because everybody knows summer in Seattle is a fun time to be jet skiing and rolling around Alki and Lake Washington Boulevard and all that. So I'm excited for today's show. A couple shout outs from yesterday's show. Local rapper DZ. If you're listening right now, thanks for the fish and chips little dinner last night at Ivers Salmon House. I appreciate you inviting me out. And all the other guests that were on yesterday's program. Nolan, hopefully you're in that executive meeting today to lock down those special passes for that summer concert coming up. And of course, Jeremy Todd, Popeye Energy Drink, close to being a sponsor on Dirty Harry's brand new show, Studio 110.live. All right, let's kick it off today. I am so excited. I am so excited to kick off and introduce my first guest of the show this afternoon, my personal friend, a legend in the music business. He goes by DJ Nasty Ness. Welcome to the show, bro.
You know what? I'm here in LA, and it's raining. It's cold. They're expecting lots of floods, and it all happened today when I'm on your show. Isn't that coincidence? I've got Seattle weather.
You do.
In LA.
You do.
You've got LA weather in Seattle.
And you've got and you know, for people that know Nasty Ness, he's got kind of like an image when he goes out and about and does public speaking or is behind the camera or an actor. He's got his sunglasses on, and then I think, are you rocking the Sean John velour tracksuit today?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see,
yes,
I know my guy.
Know what? Below my neck, below my waistline, I'm wearing absolutely nothing.
Oh, gosh. All right, that was a little too much information, but...
I'll try not to stand up.
So, Ness, let's get caught up to speed here, and let's talk about how not only, you know, are you responsible for my career, but you're also responsible for the kickoff show, my kickoff guest, Seattle native Sir Mix-a-Lot. So I think it's kind of cool that Sir Mix-a-Lot and yours truly, Dirty Harry, along with Nasty Ness, all kind of have the same type of diagram going in each other's direction here. So talk about how you kind of discovered me back in the day.
Well, you know what? I want to tell everyone how I gave you the name Dirty Harry.
Okay.
Because people wondering, why do you call him Dirty Harry? That's that Clint Eastwood guy, and Harris doesn't carry guns. I said, yeah, but, you know, when you look at him, you want to make him look a little bit harder than he is, because this is like, what, 15, 20 years ago? No, more than 20
Way
years
more
ago.
than that. Gosh, we're talking way more than that. Yeah.
Harris used to answer the phones on my request lines when I was doing Rap Attack.
And I was your co-host. I was your co-host, too. Yeah,
Yeah, and you did that, too. And then so I said, well, we can't just call him Harris on a rap show. So I said, okay, from now on, we're going to call you Dirty Harry. And then you kept that name through your career at Cube and to your days now. And, man, that's so cool, huh?
That is so cool.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And, you know, Ness, I'll kind of kick off the story, but years back, I used to stop by this little office building up on Capitol Hill. And there was always this blaring music coming through from behind the door. And I just kind of knocked on the door one day, and I really didn't know what to expect. And Nasty Ness opens up the door with with his sunglasses and, you know, big, strong guy at the time. And not to say that you're not anymore, Ness, but I was a little, you know, I was a high school kid, and Ness opens the door and kind of paint the picture from that point on, Ness.
Well, yeah, you know, that's after Nasty Mix Records closed. I wasn't too sure what I was going to do with my life, man. Actually, I almost committed suicide. I was like, oh, man, what am I going to do now? But I decided to start my own street radio promotions in Seattle, and I wanted to make Pinoy a household word name nationwide.
Yep, what you did.
Pinoy means Filipino, right?
Yep.
So I named my company Crazy Pinoy Promotions, and I opened an office up in Madison.
Yep.
And right across my office was a math center called Kumon.
Kumon, yep.
So Harris's sister was attending that class, and while she was attending class, Harris would sit in the hallways, and then he knocked on my door, and the first thing I saw was this big nose sticking to the door. I go, who's that? And then he looked in, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think you're in the wrong room here. But you know what? That was the beginning of a truly blessed friendship, because you know when they say don't judge a book by its cover, because you got to remember back then he had no rap in him, he had no swag in him. You know, he was just a young Jewish kid, and then he hung out with me, and I tell you, he was like one of the very few I could give the keys to my office to when I'm out of town, come back, and everything would still be there.
Yep.
When he said he would do something, he kept his word. So I told all the people in Seattle that would frequent my office, I go, look, if you make fun of Harris, you're making fun of me. And one day you're going to be knocking on his door, asking for a favor.
Which they did.
Not knowing that you're going to be at Cube 93,
yep.
large, right?
Yep.
And boy, I tell you, man, then they start knocking on your door. And but you know what, though? I'm glad, you know, I'm so proud of you, Harris. Because,
thank you very much. Thank you.
Long, long way. You know, I've not only got to know you, but know your mom, your family, and it's really a blessing to see something that I help and see you grow. And then in return, you need to do that to someone else. Like you need to do that to Erica.
Right. And you know, and you know, Nasty Ness, you being a legend on a national scale in the music business, and the amount of doors that you've opened up and kicked off people's careers way after Sir Mix-a-Lot's and way after mine, and just other large names that we'll talk about throughout this interview. But you and I both know pretty darn well that, you know, the run that I had at my previous post at Cube 93, being there for 19 years, would you say that this is a pretty true actual fact that most people don't last at one radio station for more than 2 or 3 years, right?
Well, I tell you what, I only lasted at Cube for like 3 years.
Yeah.
That's because I quit.
Uh-huh.
Because they went through a format change. We went from playing Eazy-E, NWA, CNC Music Factory to playing Alanis Morissette, Nirvana, and all this alternative stuff. And I said to the program director, I said, I can't, it's not going to work.
Right,
so
right.
This is the first time I ever really quit a job.
Right. So let's get into that. I'm excited to get into the interview with you, and I want to kick it off real quick because it's fresh on my mind. There's a local group up here in Seattle, Washington. Shout out to our friends Jason and Jamal. They're called the High Children, and they're making a lot of noise out here. And they're going to continue to make a lot of noise out here if I have to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning working with these guys with you. But I'm really excited, and I wanted you to kind of give the introductory platform to Jason and Jamal, the High Children, listening right now, Nasty Ness, on just kind of how you, because you brought me into the mix, into the conversation, into the business dealings, you know, well after you. But talk about how the High Children kind of came into your lap.
Well, years ago, you know, when I did my show on Seattle's KCMU, I actually played a High Children track on my radio show, and it did pretty well. I was good friends with Dominic Galindo, who at the time was working really close with the High Children. And then, so about a year or so ago, when Cube 93 went off the air, Eric Powers opened up his own station called PowersRadio.com. And so one whole year, I had my show on there called Rap Attack on PowersRadio.com. But on the regular format, they kept playing this song called I Feel.
I Feel.
I was like,
yep.
Yeah, like, I wonder what song that is. So I hit up Dominic, and I said, Dominic, can you ask Eric who does that song, I Feel? And he goes, Ness, that's the group that you played years ago, the High Children. I said, wow, these guys are dope. I mean, I think we really need to do something with this group. So I ended up promoting them to college radio.
Right.
And that song went number one. And
around the country, right? Around, because you deal with the whole country.
Yeah, the whole country,
right.
Nationwide.
Yep.
So but with me working with a group, it has to be more than just a good song.
Right.
You have to have artists that are dedicated, honest, a friend, family.
Which the High Children have. Yep.
About you.
Yep.
And these guys, that's how I am with them. They're like family to me, man.
Yep.
And so I decided to really invest in the High Children, and I haven't really done that since Sir Mix-a-Lot. You know, I've promoted a lot of artists in my years, but never really taken someone under my wings.
And that's what's so cool. Yeah, and Nasty Ness, that's what's so cool about it. It's really kind of transitioned from Sir Mix-a-Lot to the major platform that he's building. I mean, he's going on a 47-city tour this week. He's covering the entire nation. And then from all those years, like you just said, Nasty Ness, you really didn't have the type of group appear on your desk out of all the music that you're sent on a daily basis to be able to give honest feedback and honest opinions on until the Hyde Children. So what's cool to me is, I know you're in Los Angeles, you're based in Los Angeles now, but being up here in the Northwest, it's just one more reason that I'm excited about the Hyde Children, because it's really coming from Nasty Ness, it's coming from Sir Mix-a-Lot now to the Hyde Children. So I think that's really, really cool.
Well, one thing also, they're from Seattle, and I've always promised Seattle, and I moved out of Seattle like 20 years ago, 1998.
I remember.
And that I remember leaving on the airplane. Oh boy, if you want to see a grown man cry, I was crying. I was like, oh, I was like, oh man, I built so much in Seattle.
Yeah, you did.
Just to leave and say goodbye was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. Except for like when my mom died or my dog died, it was really hard.
Yeah.
But it all worked out really well. And since they're from Seattle, that really, I just want people to know that I kept my word. That, and I still help Seattle. I'm working with artists like Chevy Chase. Chevy Shan at Chevy Chase.
Shout out to Marquis. Marquis is listening right now. Marquis and his dad down in Tacoma.
Yeah, Marquis,
yep.
Chevy Shan,
yep.
Speaker Child,
yep.
the Flight Boys,
yep.
and a couple other West Coast artists like Critta.
Yep.
My boy Critta, he's another one I'm taking under my wings.
Yep.
And he's out of the Bay Area.
Yep.
And from LA, Arash. So, but I'm keeping it 206, man. And I think if God's going to bless me with another 15 minutes, then my next 15 minutes will be with the Hyde Children. And then that'll open more doors for everyone else that I'm working with.
So absolutely, I think you summed that up perfectly. So Nasty Ness, just because we're a national show and we even have some international listeners, and we're growing on an international platform right now, to kind of on a quicker version. So Nasty Ness, when you're being sent and submitted music for your professional opinion on the project, what's kind of the quick guideline that you look for when an artist sends you a track that ultimately they want to be able to be put on a national platform at college radio, like the empire that you built up with all your relationships from Seattle all the way out to Maine?
Well, one thing I want to tell all the artists that's listening, that's even thinking about sending me their music, you got to have a clean radio edit version. Even though it's college radio, it's always safe to have a clean radio edit version, so you can play it on the air. You want to make sure you can play it on the radio.
Right.
Have a clean version.
Right.
And, just have a hook. Just don't sound like everyone else, man. Be a little bit different, man.
And give the address. What's the best way to submit music to DJ Nasty Ness for you to be able to kind of give your thoughts and opinions on upcoming projects?
Okay. You can email or MP3 me to nastyness818@gmail.com.
Okay, that's nastyness818@gmail.com. If you're listening out there.
One S and Ness.
Yep.
Because if you look on Eazy-E's 12-inch cover of radio, Eazy-E spelled my name wrong. He spelled it Ness.
Well, just to be able to have a relationship with Eazy-E was humongous. Absolutely humongous. I mean, another huge pioneer in the hip-hop scene. All right, let's transition Ness into in addition to you being an iconic a member of the hip-hop R&B squad on a national level and everything that you built up throughout the years. You were a radio host. You ran a successful record company, Nasty Mix Records, back in the early 80s. What was the exact year that you signed Sir Mix-a-Lot?
Can I ask you something real quick, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Is Erica drinking one of those Popeye drinks?
She is. She is drinking a Popeye drink, yes. Eric. Yeah.
You need to overnight me one of those.
Oh, we need to get.
We will. We'll send you we'll make sure Jeremy Todd, who's also listening right now, sends you a crate. Nasty Ness, I'm glad you brought that up, because he's close to being my team here is telling me we're getting close to inking him in as a lead sponsorship opportunity here at Studio 110.live, and he's got Ness, he's got the only energy drink right now on the shelving platform, like at the 7-Elevens and the AMPMs and the Walmarts now,
And in Las Vegas?
with spinach actually in the ingredients. So you're drinking a healthy drink with spinach.
And it's all clean caffeine as well.
It's all clean caffeine as well, my producer Erica said. Yeah, so Ness, so what was the exact year that you signed Sir Mix-a-Lot to your label?
Well, Nasty Mix Records, Mix-a-Lot, he called me on the request lines. I was doing my radio show on
At KFOX.
In 1983. He called up, not knowing that we both went to the same high school.
Roosevelt, I did too. Yep.
Roosevelt.
I'm a Rough Rider.
Too, right?
94.
So anyway, so he called up, and it was like, yeah. Because to me, back in those days, you're not hip hop unless you're from New York and the Bronx. And here, this guy's from Seattle. I've never heard of him before. Like, Sir Mix-a-Lot. Who art thou as Sir Mix-a-Lot? You know?
Yeah.
But Ed Locke, who founded Nasty Mix Records, he's the guy who paid for everything and started me and Mix. We decided to just see who this guy, Sir Mix-a-Lot, was, right?
Yep.
So you can imagine two Asian guys back in the days walking into the boys club in the Central District. Not the Central District that's there now. I'm talking about 30 years ago when it was the hood. I mean, it was like worse than Compton. So there were two Asian guys walking into the boys club, and then there was Sir Mix-a-Lot because he threw these dances every week. And what I saw was, wow, this guy was rapping, he was scratching, and then he was also playing the latest tracks. And he had the club just rocking, boy. I never seen anything like that, you know? And so I put my pride aside because back then my ego was, woo, you know, and I said, hey, I'd like to play one of your songs on my radio show, which is something that no one ever did back then, play local artists. But I said, you know what, I'd like to play this one song he was doing, and it was square dance rap. And I said, I want to play that on my show. And he gave it to me and played it on my show. That led to another song. That led to him being my guest on my show all the time.
Yep.
And thing I know, man, he was getting more requests on KFOX more than Madonna and Michael Jackson.
Huge. Huge.
Yeah, so that's what gave us the incentive. Man, you know, why don't we start a record label? So Ed Locke and I, we went to New York, tried to shop his records. They all laughed at us. They laughed at me. They said, it's not going to hit except in Seattle. And they go, what do you got up there in Seattle? Just horses, dune buggies, and green grass and rain, right?
And then the first two albums went platinum.
I said, I actually drive a lowrider. And Mix-a-Lot's selling out the box at Music Menu. Music Menu was the retail store back then where everyone bought their rap at, you know.
Yep.
That's kind of how it began, to make a long story short.
No, that was a good 8-minute version. I appreciate that. You know, when we're on a talk show, it's good to eat up the minutes here. So, in addition to you discovering Sir Mix-a-Lot, you discovered me. You created both of our inner paths that hopefully Sir Mix-a-Lot and I have both made you very happy and proud as kind of a quote unquote grandfather. Who we look up to this day. In addition, you're also an actor. You've done a bunch of acting on the big screen and on TV networks. Where are you at right now with your acting career in Los Angeles, Ness?
Well, I was going to say, they've been playing Kung Pao Enter the Fist on Cinemax. They've been repeating it over and over. And if you watch MTV, they've been playing House Party 4. So that's my claim to fame, is House Party 4. I played the gay pilot. And I did really good in that one.
You did do good in that one. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
But, I've just been going on acting auditions, and I always get a call back, but haven't locked anything down. But that's the thing about the business. You just don't give up.
You never give up. And I think that's one thing that you taught me too. Like, I mean, even when I was at Cube or when I was at Def Jam and I was kind of climbing up the ladders, you know, here and there in my appropriate standings in the current positions that I was in. And you always kind of instilled in my brain, you know, just like, you know, there may be one week that, you have to deal with this challenge, or you have to kind of, win this argument over, or whatever it was. And Ness, you always kind of led me on that path throughout the years. and instill that, and this goes for anybody in any industry today. You never give up. I mean, there will be stressful days. There will be harder days. There'll be days that you don't get along with your boss or your coworkers. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a career. It's a job. We're not all going to be friends with our inner coworkers. But you know what? As long as you have a smile on your face, you have a good attitude, and you want to win, that's all I could ask for, right?
Well, you know what? It's great to hear you speak that way, because years ago, I remember you being on the phone or in person, and you're down and out. And the reason why I was able to talk to you is because I know the feeling too, And you just gotta have faith and keep your head up and be your best, man. And just remember, when you reach the top, they're gonna talk about you.
Right.
That's one thing I warn all these cats. If you really want that fame and stuff, they're gonna talk about you, because for a long time, you wouldn't believe the stuff they said about me. And
I told this to Sir Mix-a-Lot when he was on my show for the kickoff show, Studio 110.live. Dirty Harry here, along with DJ Nasty Ness in Los Angeles. Thanks again for being on my show, Ness. But I remember, a couple years back, I was on the air with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z had a great quote that I'll never forget. And Sir Mix-a-Lot said, you know what, he agreed with it, but he also disagreed with it. And I'd kind of like to get your quick version on this, Ness. Was Jay-Z said, you're doing something wrong if they're not talking about you.
Yeah, I agree to that to an extent, but if they're talking about me because I'm doing something like President Trump with a stripper, like that.
Stormy Daniels, yeah.
So like the song by Rocco, Somebody's Watching You. Whatever I do, whatever I say, whenever people see me, I want to make sure that I'm doing it, that I'm representing Seattle, representing God, representing the positive stuff. So if they're going to talk about me, they can't say anything bad. But if they want to say my mixing is weak, that my show is whack, that's fine. Not everyone's going to like what you do. But, but when it comes to your personal stuff, yeah, you got to really watch what you're doing. Because, I remember one thing and I'll share this with you. When I first started getting known at K-Fox,
yep,
and I emceed a concert. And then when I went and sat down in the audience in the Paramount Theater, I thought it was really cool. So I lit up a joint and started smoking weed. Thought it was cool,
Uh-huh.
And then back then, my mentor, his name is Robert L. Scott. He pulled me aside the next day and he goes, you know what? You got to be careful, because you're starting to become known now. People are watching you.
Right.
And I already got complaints that they saw you in the crowd doing that. Kids are watching you, and they're going to look up to you and they're going to think that's okay to do. So, just remember, kids, not just adults, but the kids especially, man, they're watching you. So just watch what you do wherever you're at.
Absolutely, and that's why, and I want to continue to be able to do it. I used to really enjoy, one thing that I used to really enjoy when I was at the radio station was I used to go to some of the high schools, the area high schools, and I would speak to the entire school. I would do question and answer. I would speak to the school. I would say how important it is to graduate from high school and keep those grades up, especially for the athletes, especially for the football players and the basketball players that had an aspiring dream to become, to go to the NBA or the NFL or whatever the case may be. So I totally get it. So Ness, with you living in Los Angeles and you kind of down there on a day-to-day vibe and kind of getting out of the music business, because I know we've been talking a lot about music, and music is really our lives and it's what we do here. But what are some other projects, and kind of what are some other kind of current business dealings that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis right now in Los Angeles?
Well, I love watching Filipino soap operas. I really do. Actually one's on right now, but I have a DVR. So
hopefully this interview is more important than watching a soap opera. So.
No, it's really good. Filipino soap operas, and if you can't understand Tagalog, which is our language, there's subtitles.
So life is so. In other words, you've always been a humble, modest type of guy. So when I asked you my last question about what's day to day for Nasty Ness, and life must be so good that you're just kicking back in your living room at your beautiful home and you're watching soap operas.
Yeah, I do that at least like 3 or 4 hours a day. But aside from that, I just listen to a lot of the new music coming in. Make sure people are playing my records. I deal with clients. Sometimes it's really hard to deal with clients. I dealt with one client. He wanted me to design a radio ad for him. And he's probably watching right now. Nick, if you're watching, I'm talking about you. and he's like a former Italian mafia guy. And then you should just hear him. It's like talking to Tony Soprano. He talks to him. Oh my God.
Ness, let me ask. Out of all the kind of current music that's on the scene right now, obviously we got the Migos and we got the Cardi B, and we got even he's been around for some time, but even like the French Montanas, who are making a pretty big comeback these days, and just other artists right now that are making a lot of noise. I mean, what are your opinions and thoughts on kind of what you're hearing right now, and who are you personally a fan of?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of mumble rap, but, hip hop evolves. Like when I first started in radio in 1979, 1980, and I was playing rap,
right?
People were complaining. They're saying, man, it's a fad. It's not going to be around. But I said 20 years from now, it's going to be the biggest thing. People are going to be making a living from it, and I was correct.
You were correct.
So let me put it to you like this. For those that know your hip hop,
yep.
People that like Curtis Blow won't like NWA. People like NWA won't like PM Dawn. People like PM Dawn won't like the Migos. You know what I mean?
Right.
It changes.
Right.
So you got to be relevant and adapt to change. Just like I went from cassette to CD to vinyl.
Yep.
Now I just click the button and I have an MP3.
Right.
So you got to adapt. But stuff that I like listening to now are like Onyx. They have something new out. They're back. They're from the 90s.
Cool.
P-Rhyme.
Yep.
Is that P-Rhyme or
P-Rhyme? Yep.
P-Rhyme?
Yep.
Pure Order, the Jamo Gang. That's El Gant with Razzcazz. I like the new Murs. This new R&B joint by a guy named Barachi. It's really dope. I like stuff like that.
And he's also a very well-known radio talent. He's based on the East Coast. He does a pretty popular radio show called Sway. I think he's on locally in New York. He's on in the afternoon, right, Ness? Sway?
Well, he's on Shade 45.
Shade 45, right. But Sway is a very well-known radio host out in New York that you also have a very good relationship with. And you, I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken, you took your group, the High Children, out here, Jason and Jamal, and you put them on Sway's show, which got a ton of views and a ton of exposure for them. So I just think that just kind of signifies just the the level of importance and the respect level that you have, Nasty Ness, on a national level with people like Sway, who pretty much are running Sirius Radio out on the East Coast, and a lot of our mutual friendships, and you'll be excited to know that our close mutual friend Izzy Sanchez, who's also another huge record executive based in New York, he's actually going to be coming up on the show here in a few minutes. But talk about real quickly how you and Sway developed that relationship and how that kind of lifted off to the relationship it is today.
Well, about a year ago we were on his show. It was the High Children plus Critta. I can't leave out Critta. We were all on there.
Yep.
And how I know Sway is way back in the days, he did a show called The Wake Up Show from the Bay Area on KMEL,
right,
where I used to do my guest mixes on. And I used to always come up on the show, hang out, and he would let me debut a lot of my records on Nasty Mix. Not just from Mix-a-Lot, but Kid Sensation,
yep,
Criminal Nation,
yep,
YSL. He would let me debut it on his show. And we just became really good friends. And he had a record out called Fall For Now, him and King Tech, and I played it on my radio show. So he remembered that I helped him out too. And, it's a West Coast thing. He's one of the very few that have become large and still returns your phone call and calls you back.
Which is huge.
Humble,
Yep. And just to be able to.
And I know know now, Harris, how some people, that when they reach a certain peak in their life, big and stuff, they don't bother to call you back.
But in all seriousness, Ness, though, I want to butt in here for a second, and I wanted you to do a lot of the chatting today, just because you're someone who discovered me, you discovered my career, you opened the door for me in multiple paths. But I think this is also what I'm about to say, Ness, and I think you'll agree with me, because this is something that you always taught me years ago. Was I don't care if you're a radio host. I don't care if you've been on the radio for 6 months or 20 years plus. I don't care the level that you're at, your success ratio. There's something called not having an ego. and keeping that, even if you have an ego, keeping that thing in check. And that's one thing that I've never honestly believed in. And I'm being dead truthful when I say this, is I've never believed in an ego, because you know what? I've seen so many times, Ness, and I know you have too, where an ego can absolutely ruin someone. It can tarnish someone. It can completely just dissolve someone's brand. And if it gets so out of check, you know, it's so unhealthy, and it doesn't look professional. On multiple forefronts, on multiple arenas. So I wanted you to kind of pick up on that from someone like yourself, like, you know, with the relationships that you have and people that you've introduced to me throughout the years, that they don't have egos. And I can just see that, you know, if you're just yourself, if you just act humble and you're respectful to people, like you said, you'll get that return phone call, and you just got to be a go-getter and not accept no for answers, right?
Exactly, you know, and that's why I try to surround myself with people. You know, I guess Will Smith said, "You are the 5 people you hang around with." So if you think about who are the 5 people you hang around with, that's how you are. So I try to surround myself with people that are doing really well, positive. They don't have to be a millionaire,
right?
But someone that, you know, just has a good, you know, head on the shoulder. And humble, you know.
Absolutely.
Because that fame is not going to be there for forever.
Right.
And stuff. And you know, in the beginning, it hurts sometimes when someone that you helped or something, and then they don't mess with you anymore. You know, sometimes it hurts, but then again, you know.
But you know, there's something called karma. There's something called karma, and karma will always get people that aren't respectful and aren't nice to people and don't return people's phone calls and want to, you know, show whose ego is larger. And I know you're a believer in that, Ness. And kind of, you know, with that being said, Ness, you know, it's been an honor to have you on the show today. Next time you come up to Seattle, I definitely want you here in the studio with me, and maybe we can even have a couple artists. Maybe we can even have a couple artists come in here, and you can kind of listen to some music, maybe even live on the air, and kind of give your critique and thoughts on the project, if you're okay with that.
After party?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then plus I get to meet Erica and try some of that Popeye drink.
Yes. Well, we'll send you down. We'll send you down a case to your home.
Yes.
The team here will send you down a case.
Is Izzy on coming up next?
Izzy's coming up here in a few minutes. Erica, are we ready for Izzy, or Izzy's ready to go?
Because Izzy might be listening. Izzy, you need to return my phone calls. You need to return my emails.
Well, I know you and Izzy are both working very hard on the High Children's success, and getting them on an upcoming promo tour that will be.
That guy for 40 years, man.
Yeah.
Call me back. But listen, man. In all seriousness, I want to say thank you so much, Harris. Thank you, Erica, for letting me be on your show. You know, it's just great to still be able to be recognized, and you know, it really means a lot to me, you know. And even though I'm not getting paid, I really appreciate it.
Well, hopefully you would never ask me to get paid. I mean, you know, all the years, 25-year friendship here, I hope you wouldn't say, Dirty Harry, I need a check to go on your new radio show. So hopefully,
I got your back for life,
I know you got my back. And I want to kind of close it out by saying this, and I really, truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. Ness, you recently got married. And it was a very special day for you to meet your lovely wife, who I had the pleasure of meeting on one of your most recent trips when you got honored at that center here in Seattle. They gave you, what was the iconic award they presented you there?
It was Zulu 206 presented me with what was it? I can't remember the word. Was it avant-garde or?
It was the highest award imaginable that you were honored and given. And just kind of sitting at, you know, thank you for allowing me to sit next to you at your table that evening. And just seeing your wife, and when your wife stood up and clapped when you accepted the award up on stage, it just made me so happy, because I know it took you a while. I know it took some time to find the right gal to marry DJ Nasty Ness, right?
Yeah, it sure did, man. So to my wife, mahal kita, that's I love you in Filipino, and I'll say it to you guys too, mahal kita, I love you guys, because you know you gave me time on your show, and that really means a lot to me, and I mean that from the heart. All right.
And absolutely, and I usually, you and I have a joke that when we talk on the phone, it's always kind of a 30-second conversation. You have a stopwatch next to the phone, and like when we get down to 5 seconds, you say, you know, Dirty Harry, look at that beautiful diamond encrusted watch there. Erica, do you see his watch?
Wow, that's gorgeous.
It's a gorgeous.
By the way, Izzy says hello.
Izzy says hello to you. We're gonna.
Oh yeah, whatever. Now he says hi.
Yeah, so we're gonna move on to the famous Izzy Sanchez. Ness, I'll be talking to you after I get off the radio, and we'll get you back on the show soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Ness. Thank you, Nasty Ness.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Is Izzy ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready for Izzy if Izzy's ready. In the meantime, before I have Izzy Sanchez, I'm all about talking about music news stories on my show. And especially with all the traction that Cardi B has been making. Cardi B explains why she temporarily ditched Twitter and her social networking. If I have time right now, Eric, I'll talk about it. If not, is Izzy ready to go?
Izzy is on the phone.
Izzy is on the phone. All right, let's get my buddy Izzy Sanchez on the line. Izzy, should we turn off? Should we keep Ness on with us, or can Ness hear us? Or
I don't think this.
I need to go bathroom.
all right, all right. We'll let Ness go. Live radio. Bye, Nasty Ness.
That's way too much information.
I know it is, Izzy. It's too much information. Can Izzy hear me? Okay. Izzy, do you got me? Okay.
You're cutting out again.
How's this, Izzy? Can you hear me? Okay. Izzy, hello, Izzy.
I can barely hear you.
Should we move the microphone that he's on closer to me, or should we move it over there, Erica? Izzy, can you hear me? Okay, Izzy.
Yes, that's much better right now.
Great. Izzy, what a welcome, what an honor it is to have you on my brand new show, Studio 110.live, coming to us from, are you in the office near Times Square, or are you at your house up on the Upper East?
I'm all the way out an hour away from the city, from my office, on the beach in Rockaway.
Oh, you're in Rockaway. You're at the beach house.
Yes, I'm at the beach house, enjoying the lovely nor'easter that we're having.
I know you guys are having a big bad storm out there. So Izzy Sanchez, it's an honor to have you on my brand new show. You and I go back. I remember the year that I met you. We did a club mix show in the U District at a bar called, I think it was called Lock Stock, way back in the day, like on 47th and University, something like that. And Bobby O introduced us. And ever since that night, you and I, we just clicked immediately, and we became, really good friends, and we've kept in contact throughout the years. And I can't tell you how amazing it is of an opportunity for me, Izzy, to have you on the line with me right now.
I can't thank you enough, and you being a former New Yorker, I know you haven't been here in a while, transplanted Washingtonian, I guess is the proper term. It's always been a pleasure dealing with you and the radio station you were at before. A famous heritage radio station like that, and you were a big part of it, and I was so proud of you. So we became friends, and it's always been a pleasure to see you and speak to you whenever I can.
Thank you, Izzy. So let me just kind of give you the proper introduction. Izzy Sanchez, ladies and gentlemen, is an iconic record executive. He's always been based in New York City, and just name a few artists, Izzy, that you've worked projects for and you put out on a national platform, so everybody can kind of know the level that Izzy Sanchez is at.
Nelly's first record, Country Grammar. Aaliyah, from the age of 14 on. JoJo, which was a big favorite up there in Seattle, from the age of 13 on.
Right.
Launching Nicki Minaj's career.
Yep.
Working Kanye through the Wire record when nobody knew who he was.
Yep.
The list is endless. I can go back to Santana and Earth, Wind & Fire in the 70s, but that was boy.
And didn't I hear correctly that you and I apologize if I'm mistaken, but with Cardi B's success, didn't you have a lot to do with this?
No, not Cardi, no.
Oh, I thought I heard through one of my show prep sheets that you worked with Cardi B on getting that.
Again, when you there's some artists that I work for directly. There's some artists that I work with through the label. There's artists that I work for through publishing companies and or management.
Right.
And some of the independent artists that I have or I've worked with ended up getting signed to major labels, so it's just carried on.
Right.
So there's a variance there when you say that I work directly for Puff Daddy, I work directly for Cash Money.
Right.
For Sean Paul, for Timbaland, for Childish Gambino, and guys like that.
Well, I mean,
I work everything. I work Kendrick Lamar, I work Halsey, Migos. but I don't work directly for the group per se.
Right. No, absolutely. And I just think, I mean, what a resume, and how often do you get the opportunity, Izzy, to have a relationship and a friendship, and to have what you've built up on a national platform. Kanye West, the late Aaliyah, may she rest in peace. I'll never forget the night of that horrible plane crash. Kendrick Lamar. I mean, you named the largest artists that have paved so many open paths for new and upcoming artists today that you really are responsible for. So it's an honor to have you on the show. Izzy, let's get into this. Right now, currently, what's kind of on the, I know you've got a big office in New York City and you've got a team of people out there. What are you currently working on right now? What's kind of the top priority right now on Izzy's desk?
There's a very, very huge streaming record out there. I'm going to try to pronounce the name as best I can because it's not easy. It's XXX Tentacion.
Okay.
He has a record called Sad.
Okay.
He's one of those tattooed face rappers that jump around a lot and are very exciting, and the kids love him. Not the best role models always, or at least not all of them. But in this case, this kid is number 5 in the U.S. in streaming. And
huge.
Top 5 and top 10 in streaming in some markets without any airplay. There was only a dirty version out there as of last Thursday, so I blasted out a clean version of it on Friday, and the whole world is opened up to this kid from San Francisco to New York to Boston, Hartford. They all started playing the record. Tampa, some of the most influential markets in the country jumped on this kid because they know if they don't play him, the kids are going to continue to play him through their streaming services, and that's what it's all about now, how to get a direct connection to the artist.
Absolutely. And I remember just a conversation that you and I had a couple weeks ago before I launched my new show here, Studio 110.live on the air, Dirty Harry here. And you told me, just out of all the radio stations that you deal with and the relationships that you have with a lot of the music directors and staff at the stations across the country, I think it's a fair assumption, Izzy, that podcasts and live podcast shows, kind of like my brand new show, the show that I'm building up here, are the wave of the future. And that's why you're seeing a lot of artists do them as well, correct?
Absolutely. Remember, being a promotion person, to me, audience is audience. Exposure is exposure. Where it comes from and what form and how it's received doesn't matter to me as long as it's out there for that audience.
Right.
So anything that adds to any visibility that I can get from my artists, any exposure, any new fan base that can be added to their social media because of podcast is always welcome. I'm not in the business of turning down any sort of airplay / exposure or anything like that. So it's always welcome, especially for new and unproven or untested artists yet who's looking for some sort of platform, some sort of ground, some base to be able to develop.
Absolutely. And, another question that I wanted to ask you is, in addition to the project that you just mentioned, are there any other kind of surprises up your sleeve that you can talk about right now that
yeah. Well, there's a Lil Wayne record out there. It's already out there. It's actually DJ Spin, who used to be Mystical's tour DJ.
Right.
Out of New Orleans.
Right.
Who put together a mixtape / EP. And on there's a Lil Wayne track. So She Loses Her Voice is the title of it. Again, a very dirty version out there. I don't have to clean yet. It's buzzing in the streets. It's not a Cash Money record this time. It's literally through DJ Spin's production company.
Yep.
And then I have a Trina featuring Nicki Minaj.
That'll be a huge record. Yep.
That was going to be a monster. It's the baddest bitch and the green bitch. It's both of them. Right. That's waiting, I guess, publishing clearance or artist likeness clearance from the labels. It's in the hands of the legal people at this point. So
Yep.
Just waiting for some clear. That's going to be a really good one coming up. And Nicki is in the studio recording an album as we speak. So be prepared for that.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, Izzy, the level and the empire that you're at. I mean, you just mentioned when I just asked you other projects that you're, that are under your wing that you'll be putting out there with your team on a national platform. Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, Trina. I mean, these aren't small artists. So
I also I forgot one. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I have a new Ashanti record featuring Ty Dolla $ign called "Say Less."
Yep.
She was part of the Ciroc commercial that aired during the holiday. That's going to be relaunched again in conjunction with this record. She's an amazing talent. I mean, she's been around for a while, so she's kind of a seasoned veteran. And this time she's going to put the record out on her own.
Awesome. Is she still working with Is she still working with Irv Gotti?
No, she's on her own.
She's on her own. Okay.
For quite some time. She's been on other labels after Def Jam. I think she had a little run with E1, where they put out a couple of records on her. But again, she's not an Urban AC artist. She's still very edgy and still very on top of things. And,
right.
She's a multi-talented. I'm going to call her a mogul-esque because I don't know what a female mogul is called, and I just call her mogul also.
There you go. There you go.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to get anything wrong here.
Can you share? No, you're doing a great job, Izzy, and hopefully you'll be able to be a continuous guest on my brand new show, Studio 110.live. Out of all the years that you've been a pioneer in the music business, Izzy, I know it's a hard question, and if there's not kind of a one kind of quote unquote answer to it, then that's totally fine. But what's like one of the most memorable stories that you can remember dealing with, any sort of level of an artist, or, on a plane or on a private jet or on stage that has always kind of stayed in your brain that you've never been able to forget about?
Well, Bette Midler shouted me out on Broadway during her Divine that she had on Broadway. She was an artist on Atlantic Records. I was the head of the dance department at Atlantic Records. I had just done a mix of a record she had called Married Men. And the inner part of that story was that just before she did this record, I believe Cher had that Take Me Home disco record.
Uh-huh.
And she literally said, I don't even want to quote it, but what she said was, that bitch can have a disco record, so can I. And she did this record with Arif Mardin, who has worked with Aretha and the Average White Band and a bunch of huge iconic artists. And they came up with this record named Married Men, and they asked me to go into the studio and do a mix of it, which I did.
Yep.
And for that, I guess I got 2 tickets to sit nice seats at her Broadway show from some of her management people, and she shouted me out.
That's huge. So you got shouted out at a record breaking at a Broadway play.
I sunk into my seat literally.
You did.
I literally, yes. I started to just down. I went. I was like, oh my God, she did not just do that.
Were you wearing one of your? Because you're a slick dresser. I saw the pictures at the wedding a couple weekends ago, and you didn't have the legendary New York hat on, but earlier you had the legendary New York hat. You kind of have that Izzy Sanchez staple look that when you're walking down the street, it's Izzy.
We're talking the disco era, and you don't want to know what I was wearing back then. You sure as hell don't want to know what I was doing back then either.
Yeah.
It was the music industry was the wild west back then because how well it was doing, and
yep.
Unfortunately, it's a bad connotation to say the word disco, so I'll use the word dance.
Yep.
When dance music was at its peak back then, 75 to 80, 81, you could sell 100,000 units of vinyl in New York alone.
Wow.
And today, you couldn't sell 100,000 pieces of a hard copy of anything unless you're a huge superstar artist. And that's even if they print that many.
Yep.
So there was a time when they were really raking it in back then. So it was a lot of fun in the music industry. If you ask me what my favorite time in the industry was, that's an easy answer to me. That would be 75 to 80. One of my years at Atlantic Records, I was there for 5 years, and I had Chic and Sister Sledge and the Average White Band, and I was loaded up. Manhattan Transfer, Bette Midler, who I mentioned before.
What was Bette Midler like to work with back in those days?
She was fun because she was a club girl long before she was one of the background singers, I believe, for Barry Manilow. Oh, no, sorry. Barry Manilow was her musical director when she performed at clubs here in New York. And
would you have the opportunity back then to talk and meet with Barry Manilow as well, or?
Oh, no, never. But no. I know every word of Copacabana.
There you, there you go. There you go. So kind of switching topics, because this is kind of one of my fond memories of you, Izzy, is, and I think hopefully you remember me checking in as many times as I possibly could. But a couple months back, your parents, and please let me know. Please tell me which country your parents live in.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico experienced a pretty severe storm. And I kind of want you to pick it up from there, what you ultimately had to do for your parents. And what's also exciting to me about the story was who offered you their private jet to take down there to rescue your parents?
Well, severe is putting it mildly. As it turned out, when I took them back, and I'll eventually get to that part of the story, when I took them back, I got to see firsthand what I witnessed was devastation.
It was.
It's like a huge lawnmower raked across the whole country.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep.
So on my dad's birthday, there was a storm coming, and I told them, I'm going to put you up in a hotel where it's safe, away from the water, up on a hill. It's a casino, so they'll have generators and security, and everything will be good. So I put them there.
Yep.
Then the storm hit, and everybody lost power, including the hotel. And then we started hearing stories about windows being blown out of hotels in San Juan. So we literally lost contact with them for 5 days. I didn't know where they were. I didn't know if they had left. I was praying that they had stayed. But when you have very stubborn parents in their 80s, it's pretty difficult to get them to do something you need them to do.
Sure.
So the storm passed. They went back to their house. Their house was made out of cement, so it hadn't stood ground. Everything around them made out of wood was literally destroyed. And then I couldn't get them out. I couldn't get in there. I couldn't get them out. When I found out I couldn't get them out, I did my best to try to get in. Univision had a company plane flying out of San Antonio because they were allowing media in. And the lovely Miss Cindy Hill, who's I think VP of Operations for Univision, called me up and said, "You can get into San Antonio. I'll put you on that plane, and we'll fly you out there." And that was a wonderful gesture. I think eventually Univision posted my parents' name as people who were being looked up, trying to be found, which was also a very humbling thing that they did for me. But Fat Joe had borrowed the tidal plane to take some stuff down. And he had arranged for Daddy Yankee to wait for them there with a bunch of cars, because what he didn't want to do was what eventually ended up happening to most of the supplies that went down there. They ended up going to the port and somewhat disappearing. And Daddy Yankee and Fat Joe wanted to make sure it got into the right hands, to the people who really needed it in the interior where nobody was servicing.
Yep.
So he said, "Listen, we got 2 seats. We'll fly him back on a tidal plane." But at that point, nobody would be able to drive from where they were. It was normally a 2.5, 3 hour drive. It would have been a 7 to 8 hour drive.
Right.
Not knowing what roads were open, caved in, poles across the street. They had no idea. We had no idea. So
Yep.
it would have been a huge risk for our 2 Octarian elderly folks to try to do that, and they would not leave the house. Then Mark Anthony flew a plane down, a charter plane with about 200 firemen, and he also offered me 2 seats on the way back. And again, I couldn't get him into San Juan. And then a Latin artist named Tito Bambino said, "You bring your parents to my house. I have a mansion. They can stay here. I have power. We're good. And then until we find a plane, they can stay here." And before I even asked my parents, then I said, "Listen, my parents will sit in the dark eating food out of a can for a week before they stay at a stranger's house."
And
which is exactly what they did. They stayed home, and for 12, 13 days, they were eating canned food in the dark. And finally, I lucked out and got them on a relief plane on JetBlue. They were very accommodating. On a relief plane that had about 36 wheelchair passengers on there, my mother being one of them, and flew them into JFK. A very emotional flight, I'm sure, on board, but equally as emotional at the waiting in the luggage area. Almost screams. Scary screams.
I can only imagine.
But,
I can only imagine. And
they decided they wanted to go back when everything was well 2 months later, and we took them back.
And the reason I wanted to ask the question that I just did, Izzy, was it wasn't about all these stars coming out and offering their private jets to you for what you've done for their careers. It was about one very important key word, and that's relationships. And
Slim from Cash Money had a Learjet waiting for me in Fort Lauderdale. Should I find the opportunity to be able to land it somewhere?
Yep.
Orlando, the program director from Tampa, who is a dear friend of mine, he was so concerned. He literally posted, I think it was on Snapchat somewhere. He goes, "Come on, Puff Daddy, give up your boat." He said, I think he used me by name and said, "Izzy needs to go get his parents from Puerto Rico."
Yeah.
So then he called me up. He goes, "Listen, you know Khaled, you know Puff, you know these people with boats. Why don't you get a flotilla of yachts going to Puerto Rico to save people?" And this is what I said to him, and I quote, I go, "You want me to convince a bunch of millionaires to take their $1 million boats, go to the Bermuda Triangle to a place where they just had a devastating hurricane?"
Yeah.
I go, "Hell no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen." But it was funny that he mentioned it and he was carrying. Just short of parachuting into that island, I thought about just about everything. But as it turns out, nothing was feasible. And we couldn't get it done, but we finally got them out. So that's
absolutely, and that's what's so just honorable and so amazing about you, Izzy, the son that you are to your proud parents who can always be so happy for what you've done for them. And you and I also both know, Izzy, that there's not too many record executives or people around the country that Slim, who's responsible for Lil Wayne's career, are offering their private jets to go save their parents. Is he still on with me, Erica?
Well, after Katrina, Cash Money, since Katrina, has sent the Learjet full of turkeys and food to the New Orleans neighborhoods that were devastated as long ago as that was, and to this day still does that every year. And he also helped me here during Sandy when we had the Hurricane Sandy, and I was a victim to that also. So if it weren't for my music industry friends, I can't count on the Red Cross or FEMA or any of those government institutions that claim they help people. When people in the music industry, as you well know, when you say come and help, they get up and they come. And they come in droves, and they come prepared. Because in this industry, relationships are the backbone of this industry.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
We can't help each other.
Right.
Not just with music, but as friends and family members. And
absolutely.
It'd be a waste of a relationship if we can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because without relationships, especially in the music business, but other industries as well, you have absolutely nothing. And that's why so many people should look up to you, Izzy. Not only, like you just said, I mean, that's why I asked that question on purpose. It wasn't about, like I said earlier, it wasn't about, everybody reaching out and offering private jets to help you assist, to saving your parents. It was about the son that you've been to your parents. And the role model that you've been to artists and how people look up to you within the largest record companies today, from Def Jam to Columbia to Universal to Bad Boy to all the labels today, where people are calling you, Izzy, asking for your advice and kind of leveraging onto that topic. What's some advice that you can give to the listening audience right now, Izzy, for artists that are trying to put out a first single or have aspiring dreams to get radio airplay or to be able to ultimately be signed to a record company?
Well, the first thing I would say is do your homework. This is a very cutthroat industry, and it's just not about your music anymore. It's about you as a person and your social media and your drive and your desire. There's people with a lot of talent and no drive, and then there's people with no talent and a lot of drive. And
right.
I have that combination there that kind of pushes you through. Again, I'm trying to find the right word. The sincerity in which you come out to be an artist is very important to me. If you just give me a record and you expect it to be a #1 record and you walk in my office, I'm going to turn you around, I'm going to push you right back out the door.
Right.
The building process that goes along with being an artist.
Right.
Rick Ross had 9 or 8 shitty records long before he had Hustling.
Yep.
And Kanye struggled with his own personal things before Through the Wire, and everybody realized that was a hit. So you can't give up. You have to have some patience and know this isn't, even though there's instant gratification out there among consumers, there is no instant gratification among the promotion team working your record. We're out there hustling on a daily basis trying to build something, and whatever debt we make or inroads we make on your first project is going to lend to whatever that second record is. And again, that record has to also warrant that potential. Not just our drive and output, but the potential has to be there also. So, again, my advice is don't ever give up, but do your homework. Study what's working out there, what's not working. Listen to a radio station and see what they're playing and see how you fit in. Don't take an alternative record to a hip-hop station and vice versa. People just don't know better, and they do things like that. So, and now I would also advise with all the platforms out there, that there's a lot of things that now you can do as a precursor to get the attention of some of the labels. Because the labels aren't taking submissions and just liking records and signing them anymore. Those days are long, long gone.
Yep.
Now, they may love your music, and after they love your music, they'll look at you and say, what else have you got? And that what else have you got means social, viral, YouTube hits, streaming, and all the other things that they look for now to see about audience engagement.
Yep.
And you can literally do that on your own without a major label. Some people can't meet the demand, so sometimes you have to give it up to a major label, or the label has the infrastructure that you need, and you have to kind of take it out of your own hands. But there are a lot of people now who know to keep as much of it as possible until they have to give it up.
Well, I wanted to also have an opportunity to thank you, Izzy, because I was just on with DJ Nasty Ness before you, and you and I
My
both.
old friend Nasty.
Yes, your legendary friend Nasty Ness. You and I think he said you and him go back almost 40 years in the business, right?
Well, 89.
89. And 89, absolutely. And I also want to personally thank you, Izzy, for the assistance that you're showing towards the high children out here, Jason and Jamal from the group. They're flying out to New York and either next week or the week after, and I appreciate you allowing myself for them to get the opportunity to come up to your executive office and sit with you and have a few minutes of time with you, Izzy.
That's wonderful. I mean, they're talented. Again, when you ask me about if you would ask me what I look for first, I look for the talent first. Because the talent is always, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, the music always comes first.
Yep.
You could have 3 titties and a mustache, but if your record is good, it's still good. You still got 3 titties and a mustache, but your record is good.
Right.
And if it's bad, I don't care how much money you have, it's still bad.
Right.
So the idea is give me the best music possible, and then we'll sort out all the rest with infrastructure and financing and processing and marketing plans and visibility and all this other stuff that goes along with trying to make an artist work today.
Is it okay to kind of close it out by saying that you have some strong ties to the Pacific Northwest these days and other business dealings that you have going on? Can we can we talk about what you've got going on in the Northwest here?
I'd be more than thrilled to talk about it. It's been not a lifelong dream, obviously, but a long time dream to be able to invest in the cannabis business. And I had an opportunity to do so, and I jumped at it, and we're opening up a dispensary called Higher Ground on 112 High Street in the lovely town of Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon. So does that mean that you'll be able to stop by the radio show a little more often these days, since you'll be?
I'm actually going to take one of those nonstops to Seattle on JetBlue Mint. I'm not plugging them. Believe me, I'm not plugging them because it costs a lot of money. but I'll fly into Seattle and or Portland at any time to come see you guys instead of flying directly to Eugene.
Well, I appreciate that because it would be an honor, Izzy, to have you co-host a show with me, and maybe there's even some records we could have the exclusive to play first on this show if you permitted. If that was,
Absolutely. No, you're more than welcome.
That would be great, Dan.
As I said before, my job is not to turn down any sort of exposure.
Right. Not like you need any exposure, but
not for me, for the artists and my clients.
Right. But what I'm saying though is if you would be able to put it on your platform that you're flying out to Seattle from New York to join Dirty Harry on his brand new show, Studio 110.live, and there's a couple records. Maybe it's the Kanye record. Maybe it's the Nicki Minaj record. Maybe it's a new Lil Wayne record.
Are you asking me to do liners for the station? Are you literally asking me
I very well may be. Yeah. Yeah, I very well may be.
And again, I'm going to ask, please forgive me, I got a little emotional early when talking about the people in the music industry that helped me.
Sure.
You know me well enough to know I don't ask for much. I try to help as much as I can.
Right. You always do. You always do.
And so it's a humbling experience for me to receive any sort of help from friends. And sometimes when I think about it makes me a little bit emotional, especially in times of hurricanes and floods and all sorts of disasters. We should never find reasons to get together because of those things.
Absolutely.
During good times also. So.
Absolutely. Well, I know you're 3 hours ahead, and I'm sure your wife, and it's probably almost dinner time in New York. And I can't thank you enough. It's just such a humbling, honorable experience, Izzy, to have you on my show today. And I hope that it could become a continuous co-host version, whether you're in New York or whether you're flying out here to Seattle. And I wish you the best health, the utmost health, and for you and your entire family, congratulations. Who just recently got married? I saw the pictures on social.
That would be my son, who's actually moving to Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, congratulations. Well, congratulations to him getting married and moving out here towards Seattle. So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, congratulations to him. It's the start of his life. He's going to fly out. He's going to drive out, fly out there, and start his life up with his new wife in the lovely state of Oregon.
How was the wedding? The wedding looked pretty nice. Where was the wedding at?
It was a civil ceremony, but it was one of those big civil ceremonies. He had like 35 witnesses at the thing. Then we had a brunch reception after, and then after that, they all ended up in my house until like 2 o'clock in the morning, having shots and playing. What's that game? Something Against Humanity.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So they started playing that until 2 in the morning, and that's what young kids do these days. They don't want those big, smoke and mirror weddings. They just want the loving, caring family members to be around and friends.
Well, I think it's so cool that you've kind of migrated, and not like no one needs to worry that Izzy's leaving his post as an executive in the music business on an international scale. But I think it's quite remarkable and cool, Izzy, that you're putting dollars and cents into other businesses. One being the cannabis industry here in the Pacific Northwest, and it looks like we'll have an opportunity to see you more often when you come out here to see your properties, right?
And I'm going to use that to my advantage because the Snoop, Corrupt, or any of the Marleys are anywhere near, they're coming to my store.
And I'd like to be able to get. I've reached out to him. Hopefully, we'll be able to get Big Snoop Dogg on the show because I've always been a huge fan of Snoop and one of his legendary producers. I'm sure you know Izzy, DJ Battlecat.
Yes,
I love DJ Battlecat. I feel like
I know he loves it up there. He likes to go up there. He likes to perform. He's done tons of shows in Eugene.
Yep.
As has E40 and Corrupt and all those guys.
Yep. We'll have to get like a whole kind of they did it a few times, but a true West Coast tour up here with Snoop and Daz and Corrupt, and Cocaine actually lives up here now. Cocaine actually lives down south.
I'm there. They get together, call me. I'm there.
Yeah, we'll get you up here. We'll get you on stage and give you the proper introduction. Izzy Sanchez, a very well-known at the top of my list. Nasty Ness, obviously in Los Angeles, and Izzy out in New York. But two huge executives in the music business on such a high level of respect to me from someone that's learned so much from you, Izzy, and DJ Nasty Ness. It was an honor. It was a pleasure I can't thank you enough, Izzy, for taking the time to be with me on my brand new show out here in Bellevue, Washington. And I look forward to keeping in contact with you and having you in the studio with me here in the near future.
Well, thank you. Congratulations on your new show. I'm sure it's going to do wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've always been a supreme talent wherever you've been, so I'm sure you're going to do well.
I appreciate that, Izzy. Coming from you, I don't think I could have ever asked for a better compliment ever. So coming from you, Izzy, it really means a lot. And tell your wife I apologize if I kept you on too long, but
no, not at all. Today's a work day, actually, so I'm just working out how to do this.
You're one of those guests that you're not a 15-minute guest. I could do a 2-hour show with you. So maybe next time we'll.
I have some stories I can't even repeat.
Yes, I know, and I know a few of them too. So we will, but there's still plenty of other things that we can, plenty of other things that we can talk about. And please tell a lot of the label heads out there in New York, I say hello. I hope John Horace McMahon, is he still at Atlantic?
Yes, I will be seeing him tomorrow at a charity dinner we're having here in New York, the city of Hope.
Please tell Horace I said hello. Him and I have some stories that I'll never, ever, ever forget, and he remembers a few of them. But I hope Horace and
Lauren from Seattle, Lauren Holman, she's here also.
Oh, is Lauren there? Tell her
she arrived yesterday, and I'm sure she loves seeing the snow. But she's here for the same event that I'm attending tomorrow.
And is Martha Reynolds still in the business, or is she retired by now?
Martha retired. She spent her last 5 years with me, and then she retired and went about her business with her horse trade.
Yep.
She is a big rider, the dressage, and she's got some show horses, and she's making money transporting horses, and she's living in the horse world, as I like to call it.
There you go. Well, tell everybody I said hello. I'm sure I know you and I know them and are friends with a lot of the same people out there in New York. So
definitely will. I'll start spreading the word on your new show.
Please do. Let everybody know that Dirty Harry's back on the air, and tell them I want their artists to call in too, and I want to talk to you about that offline to get a lot of these artists to call in, and we can do some good exclusive interviews with them.
Very good. I'll be ready for you.
Thank you, Izzy.
Have a great day, sir.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Izzy Sanchez on the line with me out of New York, a record executive, to say the least. The doors that he's opened up, and the efforts that he's channeled through for so many artists today. I mean, he mentioned Kanye West and Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj, and just the platform that he's built up on a national level. And it's an honor. I know my buddies Jason and Jamal from the High Shoulder are listening to the show right now. And I've got the High Children and other artists that I'm helping out on not only a local platform here in the Seattle Bellevue market, but even out of the state too. Izzy Sanchez you're always in good hands with Izzy Sanchez, and if he believes in your project and likes what he's hearing, the world is on an endless level. I know my producer or one of my staff members went downstairs to get our upcoming studio guest. We're going to transition the show into a fashion segment. I think coming up in a few minutes, I've got my buddy Lee, who is a men's and women's boutique owner here in the Northwest. Hopefully, he'll be on the show this afternoon. And we've also got a DJ coming up as well that we're going to be doing an interview with. Erica, how much time do I have before the next guest arrives? We're live on the air here, so that's okay. You can tell me. The listening audience probably wants to know the behind the scenes. So is Lee coming on today or no?
Yes, he is. I just couldn't find him because I didn't have my phone.
Okay.
So I don't think he was in front of Gucci. But we have our DJ.
Is he here right now?
Yes, he's.
Let's get our next guest here then in the studio, and then we'll talk about some. Hopefully, I'll have some time to talk about some music news stories that I want to talk about today. Yeah, we can get the next guest in here right now. Once again, huge shout out to DJ Nasty Ness in Los Angeles. Thank you for joining me, kicking off my show today. Sir Mix-a-Lot, I know, has been listening, getting ready for his 47-city tour. Man, we got so many surprises coming up. People calling in, people coming into the studio. We got some big-time giveaways we're going to be giving away. So, man, I'm really excited to kick off my brand new live podcast show. Shouting out everybody on my social networking that's been following it and been watching it and been listening to the show. Shout out to the staff here at Studio 110. I think I've got a little bit of time, so I'm going to talk about this Cardi B story. That I love talking about music news stories because there's not a lot of outlets locally where they even have time to talk about music news stories. There, people are too busy playing commercials and playing, repeated songs and all that. So I'm going to talk about this Cardi B story. So Cardi B came out earlier and explained why she temporarily ditched her Twitter. And what did she actually reveal? So she actually came on and said, I haven't been to New York in a whole month. I miss my mom. I miss my friends. But you know what? The album right now has been a priority to get pressed up and get it out there for my fans. I have a lot of people, preying on my downfall. And I think Nasty Ness and I talked about this earlier that, there are people, unfortunately, we call them haters that want to see people, not do as well as they should. And I think it's a negative, bad experience. So I Am Cardi B said, I have a lot of people preying on my downfall. They're going to feel me first, knock me down 9 times, but I guarantee you I'm going to get up to level 10. That's coming from Cardi B herself. And then she says, the reason why I took a break from Twitter is because people, they're so negative and disgusting. I had to log off for a little while. Too much negativity is definitely not good for the soul. It'll be good for people to surround myself with people that have good energy. And she says, you know what? I know who my real fans are. I'm looking forward to getting out there to all the cities across the United States and even on an international platform and playing you my brand new music. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of these types of exclusive stories that I've been sent on one of my show prep services here. My next in-studio guest here, let's make sure that microphone is on and working well today. Can you hear me okay?
Check.
How about that? Can you talk again for me on the mic?
Check.
There you go. My mics are working fine today. Introduce yourself, my man.
Hey, I'm Fraze. I'm a DJ and producer here out of Seattle.
Nice.
I'm living in Lakewood, but
nice.
I'm up here every weekend DJing. And,
yeah. So Erica, my producer, spoke highly of you, and she asked me if it would be okay if you came on my new show. I said, you know what, absolutely. I always try to, recognize and shout out and help uplift all the DJs out here in the Northwest. And I hear you've done quite a few. Definitely you've done a lot of appearances on different stage formats, whether it be nightclubs or concerts or corporate events. So what do you got going on right now currently in the mix, man?
Just a lot of residencies. I've been getting a lot more into the corporate events and stuff like that. But like one of my spots, Lucky Strike, just down the road here.
Yep.
We're starting a new night out there, just kind of rebranding. I've been with them for a couple of years now. But
what's the new night?
It's called Fire Fridays.
Okay.
It's a once a month night.
Okay.
A lot of extra promotion. We're trying to make it really big.
Now, what kind of style DJ are you exactly? Like, are you kind of you like the West Coast? I'm a huge West Coast fan. I mean, if I walk into a venue and the DJ's playing a Snoop Dogg record, every other record, I'll stay all night. That's my style. So, what's your style, man?
No, especially the Snoop Dogg stuff. Like all that style works so well.
Yep.
I'm like what they call an open format DJ.
Okay.
So I'll really play anything.
Right.
And my venues I play at, range from weddings to club nights to bars to everything. So if I'm playing a bar, I'm playing a lot of 70s, 80s, all throwbacks.
Yep.
And then somewhere more like Lucky Strike or somewhere newer like that, I'll be playing, I'll mix in those older tracks, but more stuff that came out in the last 10 years, stuff like that.
And I've never understood it. Maybe you can kind of help me explain, and I get it, but it still bothers me is I can't tell you how many conversations that I've had with DJs on the radio side, because there's a big difference between and I know you've played in radio studios before live on the air, but without
not exactly actually.
Well, Erica, my producer, said that you have done some radio events.
Well, I think she was slightly misinformed because I was just saying that a lot of my remixes have been played on all of the local radio stations.
Oh, okay. She told me that you actually came down to a couple of the radio stations and played in live on the studio and all that, but that's fine. What I wanted to get to though is I've kind of always played wallflower when I go to a club. And I like to kind of stand in the back and just kind of witness and watch what's going on and just kind of walk out with kind of my personal opinion and thought process of the night. And I've seen so many people go up and request a song, and whether it be like a Michael Jackson old school song, because I know a lot of a lot of the girls when they go out for like a bachelorette party or they go out for a birthday party, they want they want that feel good 80s and 90s get down dance records. That's what they want. And I've seen it happen so many times where, a gal or a group of gals or whoever goes up to the DJ booth and says, can I hear this song?
And the DJ turns them down.
And the DJ turns them down and the DJ won't play it. And I've always said, you know what? I don't really care what the DJ wants to hear. bottom line, I could give 2 iotas what the DJ wants to play. It's about what the crowd ultimately wants to hear.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think to a point, it depends on the request. I love requests, honestly, because it kind of helps you form an idea of what people want to hear. That said, I don't like every song I play to be a request.
Okay.
You know? But it depends on the song.
Right.
Because you do, as you said, want to please everyone there.
Right,
So
right.
if someone comes up and they request something that you think is going to clear the room, you can't play it.
Right,
You
right.
know, like Michael Jackson's a good like example of something you could slip in because
Yep.
everyone loves Michael Jackson.
Right.
And there's other
And
artists.
Cool the Gang and Madonna
Yeah.
and the the Confunctions and the SOS bands and the High Children and
They're like guilty pleasure songs. Like everyone loves that stuff, even if they're there to hear, new last 5 years hip hop.
Right.
They'll still probably like it. But I was a resident down at Emblem nightclub in Tacoma. And I remember once there, someone came up like middle of the night. It was packed. We were playing, like bangers. It was going crazy. And they wanted like some Beatles track or something like that. And I was like, yeah, it's a good track, but it really doesn't fit the energy right now.
Right, and I get that. That's going to happen. But when it comes time to, like I was saying, to like an MJ record or a record that will do well, that will attract people that are standing by the bar and get them on the dance floor, it would probably be a good idea to play that record, right?
100%, yeah.
Absolutely. I hear you're a pretty big fan of the current rave scene in the Northwest. Did you have an opportunity to go to Lucky this past Saturday?
I did not, no. I do enjoy the rave scene. I like going out and like seeing the music, but I almost would rather be making the music. I always find whenever I'm at a rave or anything like that I'd rather be working, I guess.
Right.
Like I had the opportunity to play at Paradiso last year on one of the smaller stages.
And talk about that experience. What was that like?
That was pretty crazy, honestly. It was really fun.
Yeah.
It was cool. We got to go back to like the artist bar and hang out and just see all that side of it. Was cool. Kind of spoiled it for me though in a way. Like,
Right.
I don't want to go and not have that experience.
Right. And I mean, how many people usually attend Paradiso again? I mean, I don't want to spit out a number, but what's usually the turnout for a Paradiso?
A lot.
Yeah. And you were on stage before you were DJing up there?
Yeah, one of the smaller ones, but it was cool.
That's cool. And you have a new track on Spotify called Location?
Yeah, it's my first official remix. So I've done a lot of remixes that have gone over really well, and that's more or less what I'm known for, and it's what's helped me come into the DJ scene so quickly. But most of those are unofficial.
Right.
And this is the first one that I have a couple other ones, but this is the first one that like a bigger-ish artist hit me up. It's this group called Action.
Okay.
It's made up of a collective of 4 different DJs, but like one of them had produced some songs for Britney Spears and stuff like that. But they hit me up to do an official one, and it got released through Atlantic, which I thought was
That's huge.
pretty big deal. Yeah. So
my previous guest, Izzy Sanchez, was on the line with me out of New York, and a long-term friend of mine from the business for many years. Speaking of Atlantic Records, his name is John. We call him Horse. John Horse McMahon. He runs Atlantic Records in New York City. So, John, if you're listening, hopefully he is. Maybe he's on the subway on his way home. But I appreciate all the record guys, and we're going to get a lot of artists calling into the show, talking about them. So you're a DJ, you're a piano player, you're on the tables, and so you got a lot going on, man, huh?
yeah.
What's that one piece of advice that you would give to up and coming DJs aspiring to be able to build up a talent, a network like you've built up to be able to ultimately play like at a Lucky Strike here in downtown Bellevue, or to a I don't care what stage you're on at Paradiso.
Yeah.
If you're DJing at Paradiso,
sure.
you're doing all right. So
I would say one big thing is just be willing to play to the crowd, be willing to play whatever. Like there's a lot of DJs coming up right now that are really stuck in playing their very specific like subgenre,
right?
And that's cool. Like honestly, like that's an artist's side that's cool. Like, and I can respect that.
Yep.
But I think the way to be successful and to make a living being a DJ is to be willing to
adapt and take
on new stuff.
Right.
Also,
right.
hitting up the artist side of it is really important. Like doing the remixes and stuff, that's made me blow up. And the biggest way that that's happened for me is that there's these websites called DJ Record Pools, which is also a great idea for DJs.
That's how my buddy Nasty Ness, my first guest on the show today, he had a company out here called Crazy Pinoy Promotions when I was in high school. And it was a record pool. And, I'll never forget, back in those years, they sent the boxes and crates of the vinyl.
A little different now.
And and you stacked it up on the shelves. And, that's kind of when CDs were emerging, it went from vinyl to CDs. And, you know, the DJs would just, you know, I mean, I would almost think that half of these guys were going to get hernias bending down, lifting up these huge crates of records to carry them out to their car, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, now it's all digital, so the idea behind it is, you know, like I have thousands and thousands of songs on my computer, and if I had paid, you know, 99 cents for each one on iTunes, that'd be kind of ridiculous.
Right.
So the record pools, you pay, you know, like a monthly fee, and you get everything they put up, including like DJ edits of everything.
Yep.
And I've got almost all of my unofficial remixes up on some of the most major ones, and they've been in the top like 10 downloaded, and these are like worldwide.
That's huge.
Pools.
I mean, that's huge. Congrats to you, man. That's huge.
And it was crazy. Like, that's why I've seen my stuff played from like Ibiza to like Vegas to New York, Paris, all these places.
Are you familiar with my buddy DJ Scene down in Vegas? Do you know DJ Scene?
Yeah. I've seen him a couple times.
DJ Scene, DJ Scene used to work with me at the station, and then I saw it coming. I knew it was coming. You know, management down there at I think it was the Light Group took him under his wing, and then speaking of Ibiza, he was playing in Ibiza, and I just spoke to him on the phone a couple of days ago, and he'll be joining the show coming up. So
nice.
It'd be good to get a legend, a resident DJ, someone that's going to probably get. I mean, I would say when we talk about a DJ AM, he's not far from it.
Yeah,
he's not far.
Doing great. Yeah.
He's not far from it, and I wish I know DJ Scene has been listening where he can. I know he's in the studio a lot, working on a lot of remixes. But Scene, if you're listening right now, I'm looking forward to having you join the show. Stay with me, buddy. Stay with me. I want to welcome my next guest in the studio. Him and I have been friends for quite a few years from back in the day. Welcome to my brand new show here, Lee. How are you today, bud?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good. Did you find us okay? Did you all the parking arrangements downstairs? Everything work out all right?
Yeah, we're all good.
Good. So we'll kick it off. I'll kick it off right now by the hat that you're wearing was never for sale, because Lee and I are very into fashion, and we're gonna talk about a lot of fashion today, Lee. But let's just kick it off by saying that the hat that you're wearing, no one was ever able to purchase it, and someone from Jay-Z's camp gave it to you at the tour.
Yeah, my boy is like sound coordinator, engineer, keyboard player, everything. So we were backstage with them all after the show, and I can't really remember how it went down. I think he asked me about a pair of Jordans that we were getting, and I was like, okay, that's cool, I can get them to you, but I need that hat. And he was like, no problem. So I've just been still in contact with him. He's a good guy.
Yep. So Lee and I met through a mutual friend a long time ago. He had a store right across the street, right there, pretty much connected to the University Village shopping mall, outdoor mall. I think it's like top 5 in the country right now on sales, and I think there's a pretty long waiting list to get in there. And I just remember kind of walking in your store one day and just seeing, you know, I've always been, you know me, I've always been a sneakerhead, and I've always been into fashion, and you just have that outlet, and the way you positioned your store and allocated your store and designed your store was just like, it was really appealing, just from, you know, the foot traffic walking by, seeing how you had everything kind of, you know, displayed in your windows. But I want you to kind of leverage off what I'm saying. You know, you've got a very nice store now currently in Bellevue Square, right next to Nordstrom's. It's called Urbanity. It's a men's and women's boutique. You have an exclusive Jordan account, a Nike account for your store, but kind of talk about how it all kind of came about for you, Lee. How you know, what made you you know, want to be able to open up a platform like an Urbanity for people out here in the fashion scene.
Yeah, man. I mean, it started, I think, originally when I was in New York visiting my sister, and I noticed that they had a lot of boutiques that had shoes, pants, shirts, and hats in one store. And I remember going in Seattle, and I was like, man, I got to go to Nordstrom's to get some pants, got to go wherever to get shirts and lids and Nike Town, and it was just ridiculous. So I kind of came up with this idea to put it all in one store in Seattle, really for the first time that anyone had done it. So as soon as I got out of college, I kind of just jumped into it, got a business plan together, and you know, I think I opened it like 6 months after college.
Huge. And I mean, I just, you know, from the brands that you brought in to the way you've had your staff, you know, set your stores up from, you know, University Village across the street there to Bellevue Square now, what are some kind of current brands that that you're personally a fan of that you wear, and what are some brands that are going to be coming into your store that you're currently buying?
Ooh, that's a big question. I mean, for me, I think the big thing, which I think is the most important thing in fashion, period,
right,
is to wear what you like.
Right. What you feel comfortable wearing when you wake up in the morning. It's kind of like, it's kind of like conducting a piece of art, right?
Yeah, because it's like a reflection of your personality.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of people get too influenced by others. It's cool to like look at people and to be inspired.
Right.
But when you look at people and just like copy what they're wearing, like it's not a true reflection of who you are. So for me, like, I just wear what I like, and I bring into the store what I like.
Yep.
And, you know, I think right now it's an interesting time for a lot of stuff. I mean, with shoes, it's, you know, with Nike and Adidas kind of battling it out. And we have, you know, I mean, Jordan just bumped us up, so we've been getting a lot of awesome Jordan stuff. And
I wanted to kind of butt in there for a second. So talk about the exclusive deal that you have with the Jordan brand and the Nike brand that you've been able to acquire for your store. That I think, and you're the only one out here with it, right?
Yeah, only one over here. Really like one of the highest in the Northwest. We just have been working with Nike for a long time, and it's not an easy process to get the accounts. I don't think they're opening Jordan accounts, period.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, at all. No. But like the longer you're with them and the kind of bigger you grow, you get bumped up tiers, and moving from, like, my original store is kind of like an image store, what they call it, so it's a good image. But we didn't have like crazy sales, but now that we're in Bell Square, we have the image plus the sales. So our relationship with Nike and Jordan just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
And what are some upcoming releases that you're excited about? I mean, I wish I would have. You're always good. When I text you, you text me immediately back. You say, okay, you know, bro, you're an 11.5 or 12, and then it's always my fault because I never can get into the store. But for the future, I'm definitely going to be having you hold me up here because I missed out on the. You know me. I've always loved the ones. There was the patent leather gold and white and black duo that they did, and then they did the bread toast that I heard you sold out. You had a pretty good line outside your store for those, right?
Yeah, we got them in the middle of the day, Saturday, so on the release day. So it was like 30 minutes, and like everyone just converged, and it was crazy. We were taking them out the boxes and selling them like directly. It was great. It was nuts.
I'm sure you had mall security just kind of backing you up at your store to make sure that it didn't become just pure mayhem, right?
Yeah, well, that's why we have to do the raffles. Because we had like one time people were there for like 3 days, and mall security's like, no,
you're not sleeping. You're not sleeping in Bellevue Square.
This isn't happening.
Mom and Dad aren't bringing you grilled cheese sandwiches for dinner to eat at Bellevue Square. That just ain't gonna cut it. All right, shout out to Puck, by the way. Shout out to Puck, your longtime, very beautiful, well acclaimed, well respected girlfriend out here, who's kind of your right hand. Who, whether it's at your store or whether it's for your other brands that you're currently working with. Now you had a brand called Rich Kids that also did well. You got it on quite a few artists, different platforms when they would tour through here, and you would send packages out. And one thing that's always that I've always looked up to my buddy Lee about, and I always tell this to buddies on a national level. Where they're trying to, incorporate and develop new fashion brands and new fashion collections. You sent one of your sweatshirts to Jay-Z, and Jay-Z wore one of Lee's sweatshirts. Where was it? Was it on stage or was it at a video?
He wore it twice.
He wore it twice.
Courtside both times at the Nets game.
Huge. I mean, that just makes me super excited, Lee, just because you're a very close friend of mine. And there's not too many brands that can get something to Jay-Z and then Jay-Z wears it. And you and I both know, like Anwar, a brand, they started, sending product out to Kanye. Kanye started to wear the red leather jogger pants, and Drake started wearing them. And you and I both know that's what it takes. I mean, that's what it takes. It just, like before you came in and before Campbell came by, Izzy Sanchez was on, and he's working, the Kanye records, and he's working the Nicki Minaj and the Lil Wayne records. And we had kind of one thing that we both agreed upon, that we'll always agree upon for our whole lives, is it's relationships. And it's not burning bridges. And I think it speaks, fashion and music go so hand in hand. And I know you've known people that have unfortunately, broken the bridge with you, and they feel pretty bad about it now. They see your success ratio, they see what you've built up, and they've tried coming knocking on your door. But you and I are very similar. That once you do me wrong, you're never going to have another opportunity to be 50 feet around me. That'll never happen ever again. So, talking about Jay-Z wearing your sweatshirt, I mean, just what was your when you had that picture sent to you, like, was it just like an oh my god, like am I really seeing my sweatshirt on Jay-Z right now?
Man, I think my phone like fell off the counter because it was vibrating like so many times in a row. I've never seen anything like it. Like it was, every single person I knew was freaking out.
Yeah.
And it just like, I think I like ran outside and like started dancing or something. I don't really remember. But yeah, and then we had they put the picture in GQ too. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my mom like framed it and came and brought it to me. So it's still up in my office at the shop.
That's huge. That is absolutely huge. So where are you at right now with Rich Kids? Is Rich Kids kind of I know you were kind of going back and maybe doing a little bit of a re-platform on an imaging, maybe some new designers, or where are you at with Rich Kids?
We'll see. I mean, there's always deeper things that going on, but
do you want to is that something on your priority list, or you've kind of crossed that off and you said, you know what, I put a brand out, Jay-Z wore it, and I'm on to bigger and better things now? So,
you never know. I mean, I always leave doors open.
Right,
but,
right.
I don't know. We'll see in the future. I kind of have some other things. I have other companies and stuff. So
right. What are what's when we talk about fashion, going back to urbanity, and I want to touch on the women's collection, because we have a lot of young ladies, young women listening to the big show. What are some upcoming brands on the female for the women that are going to be coming into the store that they should know about?
You probably have to ask Puck, but I mean, with women, it's a little different than guys, So I think it's cool to see some of the. It's just a different landscape right now because the brands, like, you're not seeing them at trade shows or anything anymore. You're seeing them pop up on Instagram and see kind of how the social media is getting driven, and then it's all about hype, right? So it's like you got to decipher between hype and actual quality of a brand.
Right.
And that's where kind of I come in, because there's a ton of brands with all these followers, but it's like, the younger kids are just hyping up the brand. Like, is that brand going to have longevity? Is it going to, be like an actual brand, or are they just printing T-shirts with cool graphics and the kids like it, so they have a lot of followers?
And what's your personal opinion on I'll give you one brand, for example, Supreme.
I mean, you can't not respect what Supreme's done. Period.
Right.
The collab with Louis, like, all that stuff's crazy. But it kind of goes back to my original statement. Wear what you like personally.
Right. Absolutely. Wear what feels comfortable in the morning, and but sometimes, and you and I have had many conversations, kind of when you're going out. You're going out on the town. Maybe it's in Vegas or it's in Miami and all that. Sometimes you'll break out of that shell a little bit. Sometimes that's where the D squared. And I know me. I love D squared, bro. I love D squared, and you like some of D squared stuff, but I like more of the. I like more of the. I love their leather jackets, and their leather jackets are they're timeless pieces that. They won't go out of style, and I know you and I have separate opinions on leather. And we'll touch on that a little bit more. Campbell here, when you think about fashion and you see what people are wearing, because you perform in front of a fair amount of people. What interests you right now currently on the fashion tip? What are you currently a fan of in terms of trends, or where are you shopping?
I guess I'm not gonna lie. I guess it's kind of along the lines of what you're saying, like wear what you like. I guess I've never overly followed like the big brands. Partially just because I kind of don't see like why spend that much money on it sometimes.
Sure.
Like I think this shirt's from like H&M, but
I like H&M. I shop at H&M.
But I think it looks nice,
Yeah, it does look good. It does look good.
So like, I definitely I want to dress to impress and dress my own way, but I'll just I'll walk through the mall until stuff catches my eye. Like I'm not necessarily going out there shopping for necessarily my favorite big brand or
Sure.
anything like that.
And what's that one what's one project that you have coming up, Campbell, that you're excited about that we didn't touch on before Lee came in? Whether it's a remix or an upcoming appearance, I mean, is there something that you can kind of divulge here on my brand new show, Studio 110.live, that you've got coming up, or that you're excited about, or something that's kind of in the inner workings right now?
Yeah, well, I'm working on a little EP right now because, like, right now I'm mostly known for my remixes and stuff, and that's great, but that's never really gonna get you anywhere, like, unless you start doing originals and stuff.
Sure.
So, like, I can't really play any of them or anything yet because I don't exactly know how they're gonna be released yet, but it's almost done. So, yeah, if you follow me online and all that, you'll probably see some new music in the next couple weeks.
And on a time frame, when you get behind like a brand new record that you want to recreate, you want to re-image, you want to remix, I mean, what's usually the time proximity that it usually takes you to be able to put it out, for you to be, you know, happy with
sure.
with what the audience is going to ultimately hear?
Well, there's two ways that I remix songs, and I think there's two ways that it can be done in general. And one is you take just the acapella, just the vocals, and you completely rework all of the background stuff,
Sure.
which almost makes a completely new track.
Yep.
I'm definitely more proud of those, but my DJ side has taught me the other type of remix, where it's more or less you take the song, you redrum it, you add a little bit more drums, a little more energy, then you add a build into it, like a dancey drop, and back into just a redrummed original. Because at the club, everyone wants to hear their favorite song,
Right.
Like the way they know it,
Right.
and then it does something cool, and honestly, everyone out in the crowd's like, what's the DJ doing? Like, how is he pushing all those buttons up there and making this happen? And
Yep.
like, little do they know that it's someone's song. Like,
Yep.
I've been at venues before, and so like my song will come on, and I'll like just mention to the bartender, like, oh, this is my remix, and they'll be like, isn't that like stealing? Like, a lot of people think that, you know, the DJ is doing all this magic up there, but they're actually just playing, you know, cool
Sure.
stuff they've found. But that type of remix, the ones that are just a redrum with a drop, I'll do those in about 2 days.
And what's like the one thing that frustrates you from a DJ, coming from a DJ? Is it like, you know, when we talk about either on the remixing side or on the performing side or being at a club, you know, a setting, what's the one thing that you would say frustrates you and just makes you just upset?
I don't know. I like my scene, but
Not necessarily coming from you though, but coming from maybe, you know, other people that you're witnessing, or other styles or other approaches. Is there just kind of one thing that you would like to see changed in the, you know, on the side of the industry that you're in, that you represent?
for sure, I guess I think to a point DJs are undervalued. Because I mean, like, a venue will bring in like a band, and they'll pay them pretty handsomely. You know what I mean, like, and I get paid all right, but I mean, they'll pay bands more, partially because they have like 5 or 6 people,
Right.
and they'll bring in a third of the people that, you know, I'm rocking to at a packed out club.
Right.
And it's sort of like,
I can
you
get,
know,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
if I walked out right now, you know, you'd lose all your people because you lost your entertainment.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in a way, I think DJs should be valued a little higher. But,
Yeah. Yep.
no.
So Lee, let's talk about what I always ask you, because I'm always trying to be as knowledgeable as I can here on fashion. So what do you got on today? Who makes the jacket, and what T-shirt are you wearing there?
I got a BBC jacket, Bape tee, like you said.
Is that a
Rock
Pharrell,
Nation
from
hat.
Pharrell? Is it a Pharrell jacket? BBC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Pharrell's brand.
Yeah. And who makes the T-shirt?
Bape.
Babe. And can both of these be purchased at your store?
Yep.
Great. So good. So and then what do you feel, Lee, on when we talk about, because I mean, we're on Instagram and we see, you know, new platforms on a fashion tip being, you know, brought to us, whether it's at the trade shows or whether it's you know, on Instagram, you know, advertising. What do you feel like, coming from a boutique owner like yourself? What could we do here in the Northwest to improve the overall fashion scene, just in your kind of humble professional opinion?
I think the number one thing is people in New York and LA, when they see something new, they want to be the first ones with it. And what I've noticed in Seattle, and this is obviously my opinion, it doesn't apply to everyone, but they want to see other people wearing it before they buy it. So they kind of want like that justification, like, oh, that's cool, now I can go get it.
Right.
Like, yo, just buy it if you like it and rock it.
Right. Because I think it's kind of cool, because if you buy something in LA or New York, chances are you won't see it here. Chances are, because there's not a lot of outlets like, you know, Melrose in Los Angeles and, you know, Soho in New York, where you have a lot more options, ultimately at your disposal to be able to buy, whether it's a 1 or 2 wear piece or whether it's something that's going to stay in the wardrobe and be iconic, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. What are you liking on the music tip these days? What are you listening to in the car on the commute going to and from your store?
I've been listening to, kind of stay away from like that new young rap. But like I like on new artists, I like A Boogie. And I kind of still stay with the classic though. Like Wayne's always gonna be probably my number one.
Yep.
But yeah.
Izzy Sanchez, who was on before you guys, is getting ready to debut a new Lil Wayne record. And I asked him if we could premiere it on this show, and he's going to see what he can do. So that would be really cool for my show to be able to play a new Lil Wayne track on a national level. Now, you played football in college. You played football in college, and you have a lot of Seahawks that frequent your store. What are your personal thoughts about just the trades that the organization, meaning the Seahawks, have been doing the last couple of weeks with Richard Sherman and other players? Like, would you personally do that if you were running the organization, or what would be your style and approach?
Well, I think a lot of people, first of all, as fans, don't realize that the NFL is just a straight business.
Right.
They have no emotional even if they like someone, they have no emotional connection to that person.
Right.
They look at them with, the lower paid people with $1 sign on their head, the middle people $2 signs, and the higher paid with $3 signs. That's all.
Right.
And so I think that I don't agree necessarily with, what the coach and the GM are doing with some of the guys.
Right.
But you got to realize that these guys are getting older, and health in the NFL is so hard.
Right.
I mean, trust me, I know.
Yep.
It's really difficult. So I think that they're trying to kind of recreate what they did before.
Right.
And what they did before was an anomaly. I strongly believe that it won't happen again. I mean, look what we got out of those guys that were, so late in the draft. I mean, that's hard to come by, right? But, I mean, they know what they're doing, but I hope they do.
And what was your immediate reaction, Lee, when you saw Sherman sign a 3-year, $39 million contract with the 49ers?
Well, it's not a 3-year. If you look at the contract, which he negotiated himself.
He did negotiate. He's his own agent, but I was told it was 3 years, roughly $39 million.
So it's $2 million. There was $3 million signing bonus.
Okay.
And the rest of the entire contract, up to $13 million, is based on incentives. Keep in mind, he tore his Achilles.
He did.
And he had his other Achilles cleaned out.
Right.
Okay. So,
I remember he was on crutches on the side of the field. I remember.
Right. So I think the first one's a $2 million roster bonus. So he has to be healthy. Physical roster. He has to pass those. And then the rest of them, I think, are Pro Bowl, All-Pro, and then another one.
Yeah, no, because I remember being on ESPN, and that's what and believe me, I believe you, because you played football and you know the game better than I do. But I do remember ESPN reporting that it was roughly a 3-year deal worth about that amount of money. It's probably going to be either less or, like you're saying, Lee. But I have to be honest. I think I know why the 49ers did it. Just there's a big rivalry between the two squads. And when they come up here, there's a lot of booze going on, and it'll be interesting to see, because they'll be up here. I know we play them. I think we play them at least twice in the upcoming season. It'll just be, it'll be interesting to see, the reaction that the true, inner core Seahawks fans show Sherman, when he's in a red and gold New Jersey,
Yeah, I mean, he's been defending his decision to a lot of the Seattle fans. And to me, it's like, dude, who cares? You did what you did.
Yep.
It makes sense if you know football.
Right.
And, it is what it is. And the fans kind of, I think, need to look a little deeper into the actual business side. I understand emotionally that it's hard, of course. Everyone loves him. I mean, he's a good guy, but it's nothing personal.
Right. Absolutely. Do you feel like, and it's hard to say because we don't know the full lineup of the squad going into the next season, but how far, in your opinion, and maybe this is too hard of a question to answer, but do you see us eventually becoming another, Super Bowl bound team? Do you see us, representing that type of organization with that type of skill set?
Eventually. I mean, we need a running back.
Yeah.
We need some receivers. I mean, we need people to surround Russell, right?
Right.
And then on defense, I mean, we have great safeties and great linebackers, but besides a couple, Frank and, on our D line and some guys, but like our corners, like are a big question mark right now,
Yep.
So that's a lot of rebuilding.
Yep. Campbell, are you a Seahawks fan? Do you go to games?
I'm a bandwagoner a little bit, but
When they're winning, you're out there putting on your Wilson jersey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I don't know. I think the whole Sherman thing's interesting. From a business side, obviously it makes sense. They can do whatever they need to, but also I think he was one of the most popular players. So I don't know from a merch standpoint and stuff from that if they're gonna lose anything. Kind of wondering.
It's you would have hoped that the organization would have thought about that, prior to making a elaborate decision the way they did. Which players, Lee, often frequent your store that come in and you act as their personal stylist?
Well, I was going to say something too about the big thing is our cap hit.
Sure.
For Sherman, right? And we had the opportunity as soon as the 49ers offered Sherman his offer.
Yep.
He called John Schneider and said, you guys asked me to call you to see if you'll match it, and we said no.
Yeah, so I did hear that too, and it shows that even though and what Lee just said, Sherman and I believe the Seahawks organization said that the door was still open. Well, I don't really know how to fully kind of wrap my head around that when you say the door is still open, but you don't come back and want to have a conversation to match the agreement that San Francisco has put on the table, right?
Right. Yeah. But to answer your other question, two of Paul Richardson just got traded.
Right.
I mean, yeah, and let go and then signed the Redskins. So that was a really good friend of mine.
Yep. I'm sure he'll tell his new buddies, though, that come on the squad about urbanity. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times with the rookies, they always, come in and then we get to know them. And
yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of guys that come in, but the guys that I was close with would definitely be P. Rich, Bennett.
Yep.
And then I had another person I was thinking. Oh, Frank Clark.
And then who's your one buddy? He's a quarterback, and he's a quarterback on one of the maybe East Coast teams. I don't know which player it is, but I know you and I have talked about him before. He's a quarterback on a team, and I think one time you flew out to see him playing on his home field.
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was when my best friend. So two of my roommates and my best friends both went to the NFL.
Yeah, and their names?
Max Comar and David Bobora. But
right.
Yeah, so I flew to. I think I was referencing to Sam Bradford's first win when we were in St. Louis.
Right, Sam Bradford. That was. Yep. Is he still playing?
Yeah, he was with the Vikings, but I think he's hurt. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Well, hopefully, if he's hurt, he'll have a strong return back to his organization and to his team. And I think today was just another great radio show for the books at Studio110.live. I kicked it off, guys, with DJ Nasty Ness, and Nasty Ness gave me my start in the music business as a kid in high school, just learning the ropes and the full understanding of how the music business works. So I kicked it off with DJ Nasty Ness today. Thank you again for listening at his home in Los Angeles. And then I had Izzy Sanchez, who is a very well-known record executive, building up a continually huge platform for his company in New York. He's been working with Kanye West and Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj, and just the story that he shared about having to rescue his parents in Puerto Rico in the big storm down there. I mean, Lil Wayne's people reached out to offer his private jet, and it just shows, and I think this is a good way to close out the show, it just shows how important relationships are, whether we're talking fashion, whether we're talking sports, whether we're talking music, whatever we're talking about. If you don't have a proper relationship intact, with, and this goes for everybody, this goes for husbands and wives, this goes for boyfriends and girlfriends, whatever relationship that you're in, whatever relationship you're in, if you don't have that foundation of a relationship where you can have proper communication and not hide anything inside and be truthful and be honest and have morals and standards, right? I mean, am I correct when I say this, guys?
Of course,
you know, I just don't think you have anything. And I think coming from Izzy and the way Izzy explained it, working with a lot of these artists, there's a lot of artists today in the music business that they don't care about that. They just care about putting out a hit record. And I'm sure, you know, Campbell, you've seen this, you know, from time to time when, you know, you're submitted records to playing, you know, local venues here or outside of the state, and they don't care about the relationship. They just don't care. They just care about the success ratio. They care about the monthly checks. They care about the ringtones and the downloads. And it's unfortunate to see, you know, it's unfortunate to see. And I think also for you, Lee, with brands that you've carried in your store and upcoming brands and clientele, and there's no gain. There's never a win. There's never a plus sign around the key fundamental, you know, core art of what, you know, a relationship means, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
So I want to kind of close it out with thanking you two for coming on the show today, and hopefully you know, you two will continue to come on. Campbell, next time you have a new record come out, maybe we can premiere it on the show.
That'd be cool.
Let's premiere your new song on the show, and you could promote it. That you'll premiere it on the show, and then Lee, maybe next time you come in, we can talk about maybe some things that we can do. Maybe you and I could possibly co-host a show together at Urbanity. Maybe we could do a little fashion show up here at Studio 110's headquarters. Maybe we could do like some giveaways. Maybe there's some stuff that, you know, one of your suppliers, one of your brands would, you know, want to get some more exposure on. And Erica, my producer here, could work with you on some giveaways and all that. Any shout outs that you want to give anybody listening besides Puck, or shout out to Puck? Hopefully, is Puck watching and listening right now?
Yeah, she should be. She better be listening.
She better be listening. Any other? And congratulations, by the way, on your. I don't like to get personal on the show, and unless you feel comfortable, but you recently treated yourself to a beautiful brand new vehicle. I don't know if you want to put it out there or not, and if you don't, then we'll leave it off. But I wanted to congratulate you on your new car. It's a very nice car, Lee. So
yeah, we'll just leave it at a very nice car.
Yeah, we'll leave it to a nice car. Any other shout outs you want to give to the brothers or sisters or parents or anybody else listening?
I mean, always shout out to the family, but I never answered your question about the releases. So we have what's next?
Good memory. I appreciate that. Yep.
The Royal Ones coming out, the Tinker 3s on the 30th, and then the Easter 11s, the Lows, and then the Shadow 1s. So it's going to be
And out of all those, which one are you personally the most excited about?
Probably the Tinker 3s are the most hyped, which doesn't really mean anything to me, but actually they're different. I have all the white 3s. I got a couple pairs of them, but these ones have the Nike swoosh on them, and Tinker's the guy that designed all the Jordans, so it's kind of a real special one. So yeah, kind of. But I don't know. I have the other ones, but the 11 Lows are pretty crazy too. They're like a white and dark green colorways.
And what I like that you always do too is you always get on your Instagram, and I love this about you, bro, is you always like take a picture of whether it's your jacket or a t-shirt or upcoming shoe release, and you put it on your Instagram. What's the Instagram?
It's at Lee _Urbanity, and then the shop one's at Urbanity Shop.
Awesome, and thank you for promoting you coming on the show today. Hopefully you'll help me, and like we always help each other, you'll continue to share the efforts and the platform at your store for the show, and we're not too far away, so hopefully I want to get you in more often to do more fashion segments, more upcoming releases, and I appreciate you, Lee, stopping by the show today. Campbell, any shout-outs you want to give to anybody out there listening at Lucky Strike or any of the venues that you perform at?
Yeah, just I got a lot of DJ friends in the city, so shout out to all of them if they're listening in. Of course, my family and all, and my girlfriend, Natalie.
There you go. Yeah. All right, we'll make it a great Wednesday afternoon out there. It's still, it looks like I've got my shades down here in the studio here for air quality purposes, but it looks like a nice day out there. I'm looking forward to getting out there when I wrap up my day here at Studio 110.live. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Be safe out there if you're on your way home or you're wrapping up the day at work, and I'll look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, 1 to 3, Monday through Friday, Pacific Standard Time, Studio 110.live. Dirty Harry back on the air. So excited to be back on the air. Nasty Nest, thank you. Thank you. Izzy Sanchez, thank you. And here we got some more exciting guests on tomorrow's show. And if I'm not mistaken, Eric, you're already working on April right now. We're already booked up through April for guests calling in and coming into the studio. So we got a lot of surprises up the sleeve that we're working on. Studio110.live.